Morning, gang. Let me check to see if you get the audio. Looks good, maybe? I don't know. What say you? How y'all doing? This is the earliest we've ever met. How kooky dukes is that? That's kooky dukes. Welcome, welcome all. Glad you could join. Feeling pretty good. Olav. Is it all one word? Or Olav is the short? Welcome, welcome, Irma Gerd. Glad to see you're here. Everybody else, welcome. We're just going to continue painting on this critter we started on Tuesday. Feeling pretty good about it. Looking at my notes that I gave myself. So I'm going to have to do some new modeling. I kind of think the best bet here might be to just refill out as flats. Just flat that area again. I don't know. It's definitely not. It is not 2 scoops of hot poops. Needs more rock and roll. It's too cartoony. I think I'm just going to do it over the top of that. Just to see. We're just testing. We're doing little testies. Your 248 Z bolts from the torture wheel. All right. All right. I'm ready. Bring it, suckle. Bring it. It's on. I'm going to get rid of this neck note because I went thinner even than that. I think that's okay. Just keep painting on top. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I was going to say, how long till Cyberpunk is mentioned? Guess I didn't need to. I also have some Cyberpunk to play today, so today's session will probably only be a couple of hours. Ooh, Cyberpunk. So good. So good. It is buggy as fuck, but I love it. Reminds me a lot of how I felt about Fallout 4 back in the day. It was buggy. You could really you could mess with the AI a shit ton, but goddamn, so fun. I love games like that just completely immerse me, and I just get completely lost in the world, and I'm fully role playing. So fun. It is perfect in that respect. Yeah, they probably should have delayed the last gen, but you can't, like, just in terms of sales and marketing, that would have been suicide. Like, it was better. I think that they did the best decision that they could have, considering that they have delayed so many times already, you know? I understand where they're coming from for sure. I'm really glad I just saw today that the devs are going to get their bonuses anyway, despite, I guess, their studio, the way they operate with bonuses is bonuses are dependent on reviews, and they're recognizing that the last gen reviews are going to tank their score. But I have a feeling that overall that the game is going to pull through, and it'll be okay. I mean, even my version on my Steamy Beast here is buggy. It has problems, but the world building is so great. I'm completely in. I have bought the illusion. And the visuals are insane. Insane. I haven't seen anything like it in a game. I was just wandering around the city, and one of the things that I noticed that was just incredible was I was walking around and looking at the cars and things like that, and I noticed that the cars had reflections. I was like, oh, cool, they're reflecting the skybox, no biggie. I went and looked at it. It's doing real-time reflections with ray tracing. So you can see the background behind you is bouncing off of those windshields at the right angle, and you can turn around and look at the thing that is causing the reflection, which is just mind-blowing. And then when you're looking at the window, you can see through it. It's like a little bit transparent, so you can see the people inside as well, fully rendered and affected by the light. And then, I was watching people's costumes, like how the light would come through with the ray tracing. You could see like what's the word I'm looking for here? Where the subsurface scattering coming through colored cloth and then lighting the skin underneath or lighting other cloth and bouncing around. Like, it's in terms of how they pulled off just the mechanics of that, it's incredible. It is truly, as far as like real-time rendering, it's a work of art. It's a beautiful game. I would get it just for that. Even if there wasn't really a game, just for the sim of walking through this cyberpunk city. Whoa. So good. The combat's a little bit janky, I think. I think they clearly have set the combat to be more explosive and interesting for the higher levels. So the lower level combat's kind of Yeah, it's got some jank. But I've taken out three cyber psychos already. And I mean, I can see where they're going to go with the combat, and it's pretty exciting. Gray Voices, welcome. You going for the mantis blades? I'm doing something I've never played in Cyberpunk when I've traditionally played Cyberpunk or any Cyberpunk style game, but even Cyberpunk 2077, the tabletop. I always kind of did like the full ninja effect, and I always avoided the shit out of the net running because it was always a nightmare. I do the same thing. I don't really do any magic users because just the systems are exhausting. They're just really difficult to maintain. But I think they made net running pretty fun, so I'm going to give it a go. You're a Cyberpunk virgin? That's all right. You are going to enjoy. Running around and being like a street Sam and just chopping fools up, super fun. Can't fault it. I love doing it. But this time, my first playthrough anyway, I'm playing the street ganger netrunner style. So combat netrunner basically is the goal here. And so far so good. It's still, what's amazing about it is I've been playing for a good chunk now, over 10 hours I'm sure. I think it's been like 14 hours, and I know that I haven't even broken through the first act yet. Like, I haven't revealed any of the big stuff yet. No intimate encounters yet. No, I'm straight up role playing. So as I go through the environment, I'm just encountering things as they come, and I'm not rushing through the main story. You fell into one? Nice. How was it? I've just been having fun creeping. I'm like walking around crouching, looking at butts all day. It's awesome. It was weird as fuck. Is that good? First person sex. It shouldn't be weird at all. Mmm. Oh, it was a brain dance you were doing? Yeah, stop being such a starfish, Ermagerd. Jesus. None of this will be seen. I need to stop rendering it and just get right into these creepy ass hands I did. Some creeper paws. There's no player input. Yeah, I guess I'll see. Oh, I got you. So it's a cutscene, but first person. I get it. We're painting kind of a weird succubus creature thing. I don't know. I have no idea. In classic Izzy fashion, I just started painting weird stuff. How are things in Spain these days, my man? Weird lockdown rules and curfews. Honestly, I kind of wish we had some of those over here. We wouldn't be the disaster of the planet right now. The only real question that matters about Cyberpunk, what genitals did I pick? I went for medium small cut. I just wanted to, see something I recognize. All right? Don't judge me. No, I just wanted to play just a basic. I just wanted to do it kind of straight. I didn't want to do hard transhumanism yet and see where the story takes me. If I kind of go that way, I'll go that way, because I don't know if it'll matter, but maybe down the line you can actually purchase the different cyberware models of genitals. I don't know. We'll see. You can in the tabletop game. You can buy them, and I actually did have one little encounter. It's one of the little side quest things where a guy runs up and his junk is on fire, and he basically has a faulty cyberware model, and that was pretty funny. I had a good time with that. The Mr. Stud, yeah. I did hear about Peekaboo Penis. It didn't happen to me though. Not yet, anyway. Fingers crossed, huh? Oh man, I haven't heard that song in a long time. The height of the 90s. Okay, I have to get rid of some of those lines because they are fighting me. I know what I want to do there, so they've done their job. The notes have been followed, and now they're just creating ugly noise. I'm just going to erase the stuff that's standing out and leave the stuff that's supporting what I'm after. That's much better, I think. She's feeling pretty good now. Make a new layer, and we're just going to dig in and choose bold values just to speed that part up. See, this is what I've been talking about. I've mentioned this numerous times in the past. You don't want to overpaint one area and then have to kind of creep everything back and get it all up, because once you've rendered the dessert, it's really hard to stay focused and get everything else done. So you'll notice that when I'm zooming in. I don't want to look at the face because I don't want to be drawn back to it or anything like that. It's not about that anymore. That's mostly finished. I can, of course, render more, but that's for way later, once everything else is kind of brought up to pace. Cole is live. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Glad you could join us today. Yeah, I've generally tried to avoid the weekend because I figure nobody's actually watching on the weekends. Everybody's doing stuff, but I have been convinced otherwise. We're going to give it a shot, see what this feels like, see what attendance looks like. And as I'm doing this very much for my my across the pond peeps, hopefully they show up. Cole is live. You have redeemed the layer. Name a layer. What would you like to rename? Let me know the layer and what you want it to be called. That's going to have to actually be this one, I think. Kind of unify these a little bit more first before I start dividing them up. Pick any? Okay, what would you like to name it? Can it really be classed as renaming if none of the layers have names in the first place? Technically, there is a name a layer. Rename a layer is there so that you can rename a layer that has already been named. That's specifically for cross-trolling each other. Okay, there you go. No problem. Done and done. Let's go ahead and delete that layer. We don't need that one anymore. Hopefully that doesn't say anything terrible. It isn't born yet. You guys are filthy. I love it. You're all monsters. My sweet, terrible monsters. Are we all going to hell? Yes. Yes, we are. Let me see. I think we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to do some cast shadows like we did with the neck. I'm just trying to soften that harsh edge. There might be places where I do want that, but for some reason it seems wrong there. And I'm going to think about why that is so that I can explain it, but for now, it just feels wrong. One of the things that I tend to do with my painting that is, it's something that I constantly find that I have to fight against, is I tend to create too much contrast on flesh. Flesh should be almost all midtones. I just take it way too far most of the time. And it ends up looking kind of plasticky. So what usually happens is I will paint it how I normally paint it, realize what I've done, and then try and fix it. But this time I'm trying to do it from the start. That said, I have a very strong, distinct lighting situation that's established up here at the top, and I need to get closer to that. Does it feel plasticky? I guess a little bit. guys are fucking dicks. Oh my god. Did I play any of the Norman Reedus and his funky fetus take on the apocalypse? The Kojima-san production? No, I did not play it. It looked beautiful. I'm gonna be straight with you. Kojima, I've actually met him. He's a super sweet guy. He's really, really shy. And I think he is like truly an auteur artist type genius. That said, I don't like his stuff. He's a sweetheart. I did not enjoy once after Metal Gear Solid, the first one, I played through them. I even had a friend of mine who's now, I don't know, he's one of the lead guys over at Sony Santa Monica now. He like sat me down, and I remember we were sitting and having some In-N-Out burgers or something, and he explained to me the entire mythos behind the Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear franchise, and I just laughed. It makes no sense. The story is dumb. I did not enjoy it. I think I played a few of the games after Metal Gear Solid. I played the second one, and I think I played Snake Eater, and after that, I just had it. I like stealth games. I really like stealth games, and I think the mechanics in general are pretty good. But these long cutscenes and all to shove this terrible story down my throat, not a fan. So when I saw Death Stranding coming out, I was like, I can tell that this is going to be a beautiful game, and it's going to totally hit the mark for the people that are fans of what he does. But I already know how I feel about it, so I probably will not enjoy the game. And so I didn't play it, but I did watch some playthroughs, and it's gorgeous. And the world building is cool. It's definitely different, and I love his version of Cataclysm and things like that. I thought it was there was some clever original stuff there. But did I want to play a walking hiking simulator to get all of that? No. So that's basically my background there. I totally recognize the art form and all of the intense work that went into making that product, and I totally recognize the validity in people that love it. I just knew it wasn't going to be for me. You loved Death Stranding? Nice. Damien Fate, welcome. Sorry I missed that. You tried Metal Gear Solid 5 and you found it boring. That's been how I feel about a lot of them. Really solid game with engaging gameplay that does not hinge on combat. I actually agree with you, Gray Voices, on that. Like, I don't think combat needs to be a primary mechanism for a great game. It's just that one of the things I don't like in other games is inventory management as a chore. And basically, that's a big core part of that game. So I knew that it wasn't going to be anything that I liked. But I watched people play it, and I mean, I get it. It's cool. It's just not for me. You got Death Stranding mostly just out of professional curiosity. Weren't even sure why you were still playing after a few hours. But it was compelling. Well, that's good. That's really good. Not as crazy as Metal Gear. Yeah, from what I did see, it is not as crazy as Metal Gear. It's just there's this kind of auteur artsiness that I just don't dig. I also don't like Wes Anderson movies. I know, I'm a fucking monster. I'm terrible. I'm the worst person in the world. I know it. Don't need you scumbags telling me that. God damn it. God damn it. Yeah, totally polarizing. And Kojima, exactly. And I think, in my opinion, they're polarizing for the same reason. There's enjoying a waft of your own fart, and then there's, the Wes Anderson. Oh, I'm shit talking super hard today. I'm feeling spicy. No, that said, there's always exceptions. There's a couple of Wes Anderson movies I did like. But traditionally, yeah, I know that I haven't watched a lot of his movies because I cannot relate to idiosyncratic, goofy white people problems. It's just kind of, can't, can't do it. There's no escaping personality and ego in their work. I think that's true. And that's probably true of everyone in their own way. So, you know, I I always want to err on the side. I want to share my opinions on these things, but also recognize that there is great art form and experience and skill that goes into making those things. So I'm not shitting on that at all. It's just that absolutely it's a style of personality that I can't relate to. And for me, as a story, for both of them, their storytelling systems I find irksome. And you know what it is it's the grandpa shaking his cane at the clouds thing. It's totally that. The older I get, the more harsh I've become about this stuff. Where I'm just like, nope, not even gonna bother. I'm not even gonna give it my time. Not even gonna try, because I don't trust entertainment anymore. I'll have to tell you guys this story of it, but after Lost, I am extremely cruel and decisive. So if I don't feel that I'm hooked on something, I will walk away in a heartbeat. I will never ever in my life again invest, dozens upon dozens upon dozens of hours into a property unless I know and feel like not only does it have not only can it deliver, but that it has something valuable to deliver. So I am ruthless now, and I bail on books all the time. I bail on TV shows all the time. Video games, I am ruthless now. I will never be played again. It will never happen again. Lindelhoff, J.J. Abrams. I loves honey. Thank you so much for the follow. Glad you could join my little rant. Join the smell of your own farts and forcing other people to smell your farts, assuming they will enjoy it. That's the difference. I suppose so. Poop grenades. That is true. I did know about that. Lost made and broke the game for many people. I think so too. I think how Lost played out, it's good and it's bad for me personally. What it did is it frustrated me so much that I had to understand why it made me mad. And so I started actually trying to learn about storytelling and I mean, I was already into writing back then, but I really think my need to understand why that made me so mad led me down a rabbit hole that really got me into like, oh, this is actually a really interesting thing to do. Now I want to try writing more. And so I actually ended up writing a lot. So in a way, I guess my frustration with Lost helped me. Just didn't help other people from my perspective. Perfect example was with Game of Thrones. So I know a lot of people are pooping on Game of Thrones end season. I'm not even there. I didn't read it. I watched the first season of Game of Thrones and it was like, holy crap, this is amazing. What a good show. The writing is great. Like there's so much setup and promise. I have to know what happens next. So after they'd finished the first season, I went and started reading the books. And I was reading them and I read them back to back all the way up through, I think, the third book. So we're talking a shit ton of content. And I got into the third book, I think, and I got to the Red Wedding. And I started reading through the Red Wedding. And I just closed the book. Because I knew at that point that what was happening was exactly like Lost. That there was setup, that there could be no payoff. And certainly he's going to attempt it. I don't think he'll ever release the books. But even with the TV show, there was this attempt to kind of round it out. But in no way is there any payoff that matches the setup. Even, Arya assassinating what's his name, that there was no way that you could match that cost. The same thing with Snow's arc. These things keep getting set up that are beyond profound. And to actually satisfy what is set up is only possible if you're following that one character's journey. And then also, it's so clear that a lot of these setups are dependent on you forgetting. Like, I mean, if you go back and watch that all again, there's so much stuff that they just ignored. And that's what happened with Lost. So that, when I realized what was going to happen in the books, I stopped reading the books. I still watched the show just for the visuals, but I didn't have any faith in them being able to finish it at all. Because how do you do that? It's like once in a lifetime kind of story. Lost was a long time ago. I need to open my heart again. No, I can't. I've been broken. My heart's been broken. Watchmen was great. Watchmen was great. I loved the HBO Watchmen show, and it, for me, it did give Lindelof and those guys a refreshed opinion from me. It was brilliant, and it felt like a good homage to Moore's work. So like I said, I tend to be harsh. I'm one of those people, I will never say that I like an artist, like a musician or a group. I'm usually not like, I'm a Beatles fan. I'm not. But I'm one of those people where I judge it on a case by case. So, yeah, I'm not a stan. I don't stan anybody. I stan like individual properties. You're hesitant to trust after that? Yeah. Lost in season 3 of Twin Peaks. No. Really? I never really got into Twin Peaks, to be honest, so I can't even... I have no comparison for that one. So I haven't rewatched it. Sorry, guys, I'm like way behind after my ranting, so I'm trying to catch up here. Hopefully I'm not skipping anything you said. The master of not finishing things right. Hasn't colored your opinions of other stuff because David Lynch is an insane person who does insane things. Yeah. Cypher, thanks for the sub. You should have closed the book after Red Wedding 2. Yeah. Oh God, I was so... I just knew. You convinced the trauma was real. Never even finished the first one. Really didn't like the style, even though you loved Tough Voyaging. First one of what? I missed that one. Nathan K, thank you for the follow. You don't think you did a resub? I think, okay, well, I got a message that said you resubbed. Maybe it was from last time. Sorry, Cypher. Nathan, you want to rename a layer? Please let me know what layer you want to rename and what you'd like to name it. Incredibad, good morning and welcome. Finally catching up. Sorry, guys. Season 3 of Twin Peaks was 25 years after season 2. Yeah, I did know that, but like... I watched the first season of Twin Peaks, and I didn't really feel compelled to continue watching. It was cool. I think I came to it too late. You know, there's a lot of stories and a lot of media that is like super groundbreaking at its time, but then down the line, somebody else has been referencing it, or it's been re-referenced so many times that it's no longer that thing. It's like... Band-Aid has become our term for adhesive bandages. Even though it's a brand, everything's a Band-Aid, right? I feel that way about a lot of media too. So a perfect example is long after I fell in love with Starship Troopers, the film, I went back and actually read the book. And in reading the book, I saw how everything in sci-fi has been built in that. And there's a lot of sci-fi classics like that, where there's like little hints of this and everything else, and you become inundated in the modern version of it, that raw older version, even though it was groundbreaking, doesn't hit. And it is what it is. Oh, the first Game of Thrones book, yeah. The Seinfeld effect. Yeah, another show I do not like. At all. I know I think I'm maybe one of 3 of my generation that hated that show. It's a genre show. So if you don't like soapy, mystical cop dramas, it's not going to be your thing. Yeah. Seinfeld, yeah, I cannot stand it. I have friends that are obsessed with it. Same thing with Friends and How I Met Your Mother. Mm. Mm. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I feel the same about those as I do reality TV. I'd say in general, I tend to avoid shows that are just about people being people, um, without any kind of statement. I had some close calls with It's Always Sunny. I love that show, I really do, and I think that they managed to figure out how to break out of the mold. Uh, but yeah, it kind of had the same thing. It was just like goofy people, but ended up having a lot more depth than I thought it would. I think I like to kind of just think of those shows as like quotable shows, Seinfeld, things like that. It's just like it's a it's a particular zeitgeist. It's got the quotables that are important to pop culture, but if you're not involved in it, then it not only does it not have any relevance to you, you also don't really see it as that good. Big Bang Theory, same. Perfect example of the inverse, where I liked something that not a lot of other people did because it did hit a lot of stuff for me, was Grandma's Boy. I know a lot of people either haven't seen it or didn't like it. I loved Grandma's Boy because I'm a game developer and it totally had no idea what it was talking about, and it was so great. I love that movie, and it's got tons of quotables. Also, I feel like without Grandma's Boy, you couldn't have Silicon Valley, which is another just great show. Oh, missed talkies again. God damn it. Never could understand the appeal of Seinfeld. Is when you watch the originator of a meme or trend and feel like it's already too done, not appreciating that you're watching the original. Yeah, there is there. I took a psychology class twice, like a sort of psychology of design class in college because they geared everything towards art. I didn't. I think I told you guys my math class was actually perspective. Well, my psychology class was about design and how products are made and things like that. And there is a psychological term for the Seinfeld effect that you're talking about, where it's the same thing as the Band-Aid example I gave you, where a brand or where some originator just becomes the generic, like it's just dissolves into the known. It's a known quantity for everybody. Like when you play Half-Life 2 for the first time and think it isn't that great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it was a groundbreaking thing. Thank you for the follow, Poog Bookit. That's an awesome name. Welcome. Glad you could join us today. What kind of humor do I like? I would say for me, that's one of those things that's evolved over the years. Um, I think I definitely started out, your South Park generation. That was when I was in high school, South Park, The Simpsons. So there was a lot of quotable stuff then. When I got into college, it became a little bit more kind of cerebral, which I think happens to everybody when they go to college. Everybody's, sitting around listening to They Might Be Giants and thinking they're real fucking clever. Uh, but I'd say now I like situational, mild surrealism. I really liked The Mighty Boosh, the third season of The Mighty Boosh. Rick and Morty, of course, I liked. Silicon Valley, like I said, that was quite funny. I don't know. Also, I think just naturally, it's one of those things that evolves as you get older. I'm starting to appreciate the dad jokes a little bit more. It's not even the jokes themselves. That's what I've realized. It's not the dad jokes themselves. It's people's reactions to the dad jokes. But I still won't allow puns. Puns are a no-no. Mm-mm. That's a mortal sin. Serious. Thanks, Poog. That's right. Oh, I need to get kind of a deeper red in here. Oh, yeah, that's the one. And then we'll use this one. Looking at it from a distance just to see how my lighting is behaving. So I have actually done kind of a boo-boo here. I've changed my lighting. I went from a top down. See, this is the downside if you stop looking at one part. I have this down lighting, and I have kind of made it directional. So I need to just quickly get that sussed out. I'm going to grab my rich red here and just see if I can do a full lighting pass just to bring the light back to the top. So by bringing it, in order to bring it to the top, that means that we need to take all of the rounded forms and have the terminator end as the shape becomes parallel to the light source. If this language sounds confusing for you, check out my first episode of The Logic of Light and Color on YouTube. It's free, and it's the first three rules. Of the logic of light. The name of the episode is called, I think, 3 Rules to Improve Your Painting or something like that. And with that, you should be able to fully grasp what I'm getting at. And it's basically a primer. So any of the knowledge you're looking to learn from me would be built on those first 3 rules. You must understand the first 3 rules of light. Don't want to say you were doubting where the anatomy would go last week, but I think you were doubting me. I feel doubt. I sense doubt. Goddamn monsters in here. I want some more of this yellow. Let's mix it in with a red and get a nice kind of orangey color. I also have a lesson on Gumroad that's all about, or several lessons actually, that are about material rendering, specifically with skin. And the reasons why I do things like shifting to yellows, greens, grays, blues. And a lot of it has to do with the underlying bits, because skin is so translucent. You're seeing, when you see skin, you're really not just seeing light and skin. You're seeing light, skin, and a little bit of all the goodies underneath. All the tasty piñata bits that fall out when you hit them real hard with the rock. Don't eat people. Don't hit them with rocks. Disclaimer. Damesh, hi, welcome. Thanks for the sub, brother. Loving the Gumroad stuff so far, by the way. Nice and easy to follow. That's great. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Incredibad. Thank you. Yeah, please share your experience. I don't really advertise, so It's mostly word of mouth. And I'm competing against some pretty heavy hitters out there that got that whole social media thing on the lockdown. I don't got that on the lockdown. I'm struggling. I think the way I'm going to treat this, the ref has a spot and then it's got a fill. So I'm going to just hint at the spot down here. Did I unify a little more? Yeah. I think. Let's go back a bit. Let's go back. We're not done here. We jumped ahead. I want to have, this is the third rule, I believe, the diminishing return on the light. So the further away objects get from the light source, the less the light source affects them. So my brightest spot will be the part of the body that's closest to my light source. But that said, the other rules of light must always apply. That's why they're in the order that I give the rules of light. They're there because the first one trumps the following ones, the second one trumps the following, and on and on. So you must adhere to those. And then with the lessons, as you go through the Gumroad lessons, you're going to learn other stuff that basically breaks those rules, those first rules of light, or changes how they function. And that's why it's so important to watch that first one, because it's just everything that you're going to ever know about light, color, form, material will be built on those initial rules, and you really have to get them down. Totally understand. The cool part is it's not difficult. That's the reason I really wanted to teach my system for teaching, is because I feel like in a lot of ways through academia and through social media, a lot of people may feel intimidated, or like there's a mysticism to doing this kind of painting, representational rendering. And there's really not. I mean, it's just this. There is a system. There's a logic for it. You thought about skipping straight to materials, and you're glad you didn't. Makes total sense how I structured it. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, I have had that discussion with a lot of folks, and I understand totally where they want to just get a la carte. And if you feel like you know something, fine, that's all good. But there's definitely a system to it that I've put together really carefully over the years. I mean, I've been teaching essentially, I didn't call it that at the time, but I've been teaching the logic of light and color for 13, 14 years. It's been a long time. And that's all refined from the education that I got. So I'm definitely not looking to dick anybody. I'm not trying to rip anyone off. I'm just trying to share this system, because I think it's the best system. I'm confident in it. So there's I don't know if you guys can even see it with the lighting, but I want to get the tendons kind of popping. So problem is I got these potato meat hooves. I got the ham fist, so you can't quite see it. But yeah, I'm going to try and pop the tendons at the bottom a little bit. You tried skipping part 2, but it's way better to go in order. Yeah. Off-topic question, could I mention the number one mistake done for my students over the years of teaching? When you say done for my students, you mean done by me or done by my students? There's a point where you can pick and choose more, but the beginning has a really solid order. Yeah, I'd say like probably up until you finish the first materials lessons, I would go in order. So I think that's like the first 15 to 20 lessons. I would do them in order. And then after that, you can kind of like play around a little bit more and kind of pick what you want. Okay. Now I need to, now that I've kind of molded everything down so that it's coming from a more direct light source from above, now I need to actually get the pops. So I need to get the, not, it doesn't need to be as bright. This is, again, that rule. If I make it as bright down here as it is up there, it's not going to look right. But it definitely needs to be brighter on the parts that are facing towards my light source. Hills and valleys. We cover that in that very first free lesson on YouTube. And if you're looking to watch my other Twitch videos of me painting different critters, cribbas, cabbage, you can find it on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Izzy Medrano. That's my name. So I remember when I started this out, she was more muscular, and then she was skinny, and now she's getting muscular again. I think part of that is the sharpness of the lights and darks again. Again, this is my natural tendency is to over contrast skin. So what I'm going to do is actually do a tint, not a glaze. Tints and glaze are different. I'm going to tint with the light and kind of fill this stuff in so that the contrast is between the whole area of the light side and the whole area of the more shadowy side. So that it's not high contrast in the small, it's the high contrast in the large shapes. I can still have those little details that imply the muscles, but they need to be much tighter in value. This is keying. This is also one of the early lessons. So I know that because the fingers are going to be pointed more vertically, they're going to be dark against light. So I'm just going to accentuate that. The starkness of that light against the flat black and the flat red is a big part of what's going to make this work when it's done. So I'm just leaning into it. I'm letting the assets that are naturally a result of my initial choices work for me. I'm painting smart, not hard. Oh, is there a common mistake? Well, let me go back and read it properly. Where'd it go? Could I mention the number one mistake done by my students over the years of teaching? Let's see. Most common mistakes would be... What I've noticed are patterns of mistakes that tend to happen with different levels. So really early students, one of the things that I almost always hear is when I tell them, okay, try doing this, this, and this, and this in order to improve your work, they will respond with, oh, I know all that, but this is my style. It's the concept that style is somehow affected by the rules, or rather that it omits those rules. I hear it all the time. It's really, really common. Don't feel bad if you've caught yourself saying this. I said this too. It's totally normal. I think it's just one of those parts of growing in this, on this journey. Is it's just, there's a reason that there are tropes. It's because everybody's done this. But the thing to remember is that if you find yourself using style as a reason for not doing things in a traditional manner, ask yourself if that's because you are confident in your decision for the style, or it's because you fear that you cannot pull off the traditional system. Those are some real-time conversations you're going to have with yourself. But if you're curious about style, this is the truth about style. Style is not something that you choose. It's going to be something that happens on its own, and it's going to be a beautiful blend of the things that you are good at and how you hide the things that you're bad at. That's style. That's really what style is. So what you want to be able to do if you're learning, especially in the beginning, is to completely forget the idea of style. Don't be like, well, I do manga, or well, I do, Rembrandt or Sargent or something like that. Don't glom onto a style. Instead, fill your head with everything. Take everything like a sponge, and then try it. Try everything. Try everything. And then as you practice and become familiar with your materials, become familiar with the subjects, your style will evolve out of your strengths and weaknesses combined. And that will always be uniquely you. You can mimic other people's styles, absolutely, but it's not going to be satisfying. And I think the most valuable thing as an artist, especially these days, is sharing what you're looking to share, delivering your message in your own voice. You have to do it in your own voice. That's just an opinion, man. But I think it's a good one, and I think it's founded in some experience. So hopefully that's helpful. When the students get a little bit more advanced, there's a classic mistake that happens in strategy, and that is when something has worked for you in the past, there's a tendency to do that thing again and again. And because it worked, and if it works, why change it? So then your sort of intermediate students will end up in a rut, and the rut will usually have something to do with subject matter, pose, things that they say they like to paint or draw, but when challenged with something else, they won't do it. That's not to say that later on, when you're an advanced painter, I'm a prime example, I paint the same kind of shit all the time. But part of that is also when I'm painting with you guys and when I'm painting for fun, it's just for fun. I have a job, so I don't need to do this stuff at that time. Honestly, I can't do this stuff at that time. I couldn't do this for the job I'm on right now. They would freak the fuck out. But we're playing, we're hanging out together, and it's just basically I'm really here to be talking to you and to share and build this community and help you with wherever you're at. So I need to be painting something. I can paint this without really thinking about it too much, so I tend to paint these kinds of things. But when you're learning, be a sponge. Fucking everything. Paint everything in every way. This shoulder is totally wrong and I hate it. Let me grab it. Another intermediate problem that I've seen many times that kind of ties into what I'm doing right now is you become very precious. When you start to have a little bit of skill with something, and this is something that just continues on. This can even be really more of even an advanced problem. You end up kind of precious about the stuff you've done because you can see now. You've had the taste all along that recognizes what's good or bad, but you now have the skill to sometimes deliver on that. And so when you find it, you're like, oh, this is hot. I don't want to fuck with this. And you become overly precious about stuff. And you lose, the more advanced you get, the more stiff you get. And you lose that, what I'm trying to get you to do when you're just learning, which is to experiment and try everything. You start just depending on the stuff that you know is going to deliver. And then you stop pushing yourself. You stop being willing to scrap something and start over or fix it by going around the long way because you like it. But you know it's wrong. If you know it's wrong, just fix it. Go back, erase entirely, move huge chunks. Never be afraid to do big changes because big changes are actually productive. Little changes are masturbatory. They don't actually accomplish much. I'm getting pinged by the family. One sec. All right, so I missed some talkie talks. Sorry, I'm blabbing. Long Neck Club. I'm glad you like it. Olav. Once you understand the basics, style will come and it will read cohesively. But if you skip the basics and try to force a style, it most likely won't work. That's absolutely true. And then you end up dependent on those crutches that you call style. It's an oubliette. You just get deeper and deeper and deeper. Because you're not willing to push yourself. It's giving you some Brahm vibes. Cool. Brahm was actually my hero when I first started painting. I was like, Brahm, I just want to do Brahm. You think that's where you're at? You feel like you're in an art rut and that you've been drawing the same thing over and over again for like 6 years at least. That's okay. It's fine. The important thing is knowing what's going on and then understanding the fix to it. One of the things that I've noticed as I've moved through my own art journey is the older I get and the more wizened I get about it, the more I realize that I knew what I was doing wrong. I was just being obstinate. I knew that I needed to be painting, or for example, I knew when I first started drawing, I only drew women, and I knew that the reason that I wasn't good at drawing men wasn't because I was just awesome at drawing women, it was because I didn't draw men. And then I went back, and then there was a pendulum swing where I didn't draw women at all for a long time and just drew men and tried to get the anatomy right, get all the shapes and the feel correct, and then forgot how the women worked. So it's this back and forth. It's something you're constantly honing. So now you're trying to break away from your typical subject matter. Yep. Try to work on scenes. Yeah. I feel personally attacked right now. Yeah, you'll notice there are not many scenes in my work. This is not purple and green, so it's not 100% my style. I suppose that's true. Kozo, thank you for the follow. Sorry for the delayed response. You had a sculpture teacher sever your figure's head and completely repose it the week it was due, and it was better for it. So you're all for breaking shit. Irma Gerd, that's great. You should absolutely always be willing to break shit. Hopefully that really proved the point. Yeah, happy to answer. Scenes are freaking hard. Perspective is hard. Environments are hard. I mean, even my project for work that I'm doing right now, I need to do some environment stuff. And I'm a shrinking violet with it because I'm just not as good with environments as I am with characters. So what does that mean? What do I got to do? Well, according to the long-ass lecture I just gave you, I need to start doing some environments. The shoulder is not fixed by what I did. So I'm thinking, actually what I'll need to do, this is probably going to be the smarter way of doing this. Let's say, yeah, let's, it's fine when you're drawing outside the canvas because obviously that selection is not going to grab anything. I want to grab this whole joint actually. All right, and copy and paste. Now that's on a separate layer, turn it off. And now I need to ignore the hands because I got precious about the hands. It happens to all of us. You just need to recognize when you're doing the thing. When you're doing the thing that's the bad thing, you got to stop doing the bad thing. Words to live by. Put it on a mug. I'm a millionaire. Like I said, messaging is a problem for me. All right. I don't need to render the shit out of it. I just need it to be roughly figured out. Because, and actually I did have it somewhat figured out. So I'm going to go back. What? I'm lazy. That's what I do. That's who I am. Working digital. You watched the interview with Siamak. Great stuff. Love to see more stuff like that. Maybe have some artists, guests over, or even a full podcast. Yeah, that would be great. I don't know if you guys know Spiridon, but he's the guy that does the hashtag hardcover books, and they're erotica, and I've done some artwork for those. He's starting up a new podcast as well, another art podcast that's a little bit more centered around mental health, which looks pretty cool. I don't know the name of it just yet. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can dig that up for you guys. Here it is. The Kefi Podcast. I will post the link. So that's my buddy Spiro. He's got a podcast too, and I will be doing something with him. Hopefully, before the next year, we'll see. I've been pretty busy lately, and he has too. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do more and more of that stuff. And as I find people that do that kind of discussion, I'll be sure to share them with you guys as I encounter them, because it's super useful stuff. Also have the training you did. Your teachers really did their best to drill out the personal attachment. That's good. At times, I remember even when I was in school, it seemed kind of abusive what they were doing, but it makes sense. Like, you can't be so attached to your work that you're frozen. And I remember teachers would grab students' paintings and throw them across the room, and they were just generally monsters. I thought it was hilarious because I'm a bad person, but it is what it is. There's no room for it in production. That's true. Alpaca the Paca, welcome. Thank you. If something isn't working most of the time, it's faster to throw it out. Yep, absolutely. What are the things you need to learn to draw digitally? You don't need anything. Honestly, the reason that I started drawing in the first place is I had to switch the art form that I was working on. I was originally a musician. And when I moved to a school where they didn't have, it was another art program school in high school, they didn't have a music program at all. So I picked drawing because it was the cheapest thing you can do. So drawing is where I would start. Learn to draw traditionally with a pencil and paper, with charcoal, paper, that sort of thing. Look up just traditional basic drawing and focus on those skills. If you're looking to get into digital specifically because you already have drawing skills, you're going to need a computer, a monitor, and a slate with a stylus, which would be something like this. Pay no mind to that. It's dirty as hell. It's old. This has been out at sea for many years. And there's the stylus. So those three things are basically the crux of painting and drawing on your computer. Erotica? Some kind of perv? Me? Perv? Totally a perv. The first hardcover and the second one is on the way. I'm in the second one. Makes sense. Young people need abuse. Oh, Spaniards. What does this mean? Squiz 59. Squiz is just sketching with Izzy shorthand because sketching with Izzy takes up way too much space. 59 is the episode. That's how many episodes we've done. And 10 to go is a funny joke. Because I'm a pervert. Well, it's not like our teachers would delete our work if they found it inadequate. We had the school that I went to for college was notorious for the teachers being like over the top cruel. It was like, what was that movie with the drummer? I'm totally forgetting the name of it. Not Rip Stop, something like that. Anyway, it was like that. It was a very difficult, high pressure environment. Suicide was warned of, like people crashed and burned out all the time. It was an extremely brutal program. And that was part of it. So I would say actually trashing someone's work is abusive. Yeah, it is. No question. Especially if they sent money on the supplies. Yes. This is an Intuos Pro Small. That's it. It's an older model. This is like a 2016. You really enjoying the fact that Wacom is losing the monopoly? Me too. Absolutely, me too. Salsa Azul. Thank you. Yeah, I went to Art Center. Whiplash, yes, that's the name of the movie. Thank you. That sounds like some Art Center shit. That was Art Center shit, 100%. I don't know if they still do that because, times have changed pretty fucking significantly since then. But, yeah, it was brutal when I was there. And I fully, for me to get through, I was sleeping 2 to 4 hours a night for years, maximum. I worked constantly. It was very difficult, but it was good also because it overtrained me for what reality was for the entertainment industry in terms of production, because nothing I've done since has ever been as hard. So I can always remember, I can do this. This really isn't that tough. I've done harder. Salsa Azul, thank you for the follow. I just saw that. You knew it. I think I had a great teacher who dropped out of Art Center because her illustration told her she didn't have it. Yeah, that would happen where teachers would do that. It happened. I think that it happened more frequently before I went there because I think that at that time the school was struggling a little bit more and they were much more willing to put people through that were not of Art Center quality. So I don't know. Lemon Marmalade, thank you for the follow. Glad you could join us today. Was it worth it to go through that pain and torture and suffering? I would do it again in a heartbeat. It cost me $150,000 to go to school. I went to school with nothing. I had $10,000 in savings, which I spent in the first month, I think. Or no, I'm sorry, the first term. That was my first term, gone. I would do it again. It was great. I learned so much. I made so many great connections. Really, it was about the challenge, overcoming a challenge, meeting other people that were doing the same thing. There's nothing like trench buddies when you're all in the shit and you come through it together. That's a really special bond. Yeah, I went down there with nothing. What I would do differently is I would have prepared for it better. Um, I did not have the grades to go to college. I did not have any savings. I didn't do any of the pre-work like to get scholarships and things like that. And the ones that I did try for, I completely failed to get. The grants I couldn't get. It in many ways monetarily it was a disaster going when I did. But, you know, it worked out. I know that it's very popular right now to shit all over higher education with art college, and I get it. I mean, it's stupid expensive. I totally get it. But at the same time, there are things that I experienced there and that I learned there that I could never have done as an autodidact. And I'm plenty autodidactic. It depends on you as an individual, how you like to learn. I think that's a big part of it. I love, especially with this stuff, I've always enjoyed the competition aspect. I always tend to learn in real serious bursts when competition is happening. But that's just something that I know about myself. That may not be the case for you. You may not learn, and you may struggle more when competition's on the line. It's a different kind of stress. Different people learn in different ways. I think the shoulder's better now. Yeah, it needed to be brought in a little bit. What I need to do is change the chest, I think. And just kind of move the center just a bit. If you were 18, you'd do it too. Yeah. Yeah, the U.S. school prices are absurd. It's unconscionable what we do here with our students. It is young people shit, but I would still do it again. Like, I think it would be even in some ways. I remember I've personally taught students that were like twice my age and in colleges. And I remember I did go to school with people that were older than me. Most of them were older than me, and some were much older. And they always had a different experience. They came at it in a different way. And I think going at higher learning now, knowing what I know now, would be an interesting experience. To be naive and youthful. Happy to be here, Lemon. Just started getting into digital art. That's awesome. Hoping to learn some new techniques. Totally. There's some good digital techniques here that we talk about. So no denying that the people who graduate from Art Center are monsters. Yeah. You're at University for Art right now. It isn't as brutal as Art Center at all, but the program is okay. But you're in so much freaking debt. Yeah. Debt is, it's the worst, man. It's such an unnecessary pressure when you're trying to learn. It's a tough decision, no question. I understand avoiding it, and like I said, I totally am sympathetic to people that preach that doing it all online is the way to go. I get it, but I will not. I'm not going to shit on my experience there because it was expensive or because it was hard, because in so many ways it was defining for me. We definitely need to change our system for financing higher education now. It's goddamn disaster here. What I'm trying to do now is using value to change the depth and dimension of this arm so that it's not feeling like it's coming forward. I want it to feel like it's a little bit more tucked. And all of the surfaces that are parallel, to my light source need to be knocked back. So we're gonna have to work on our hands for a minute here. I need to follow the logic. So if it's parallel to light source, it should be dimmer, not as bright. And if it's perpendicular, brighter. But I'm also adhering to the other rules, the other 3 rules of light. The whole of the chest, I'm going to do kind of a concave chest here. I'm going to push it even deeper. Okay, let's assess. I got about a half hour left. I'd like to get this finished today. So it's gonna be a push. I need to make some decisions here on what's gonna get emitted. I don't need the lower part of the body to be nearly as rendered as the face, but it needs to feel like it's in the same painting. It's another reason why I say that you should be painting up to the detail rather than starting with your detail, because if you have to stop early, everything will still feel cohesive and work. Definitely a little ode to Brahm right there. The peaky nipple. Cheeky peaky nipple. Just saying hello. Being pressured to go to college right after high school is the worst. Yeah, I agree. I think you should be able to spend some time working and trying things out. I also think that if you go to college, it should be required that part of college is going abroad. I deeply, deeply believe that everybody should travel. That it is a requirement for school. Careful with that. Twitch is really weird about nipples. No problem with cyberpunk schlongs. That's funny. All right, it's only a half a overly large pepperoni slice there. That's all. We're just gonna call it pepperoni. Poog, you got to take off. Hey, thank you for joining us. And yeah, come on back anytime. We'll be doing the Twitch on Mondays and Wednesdays at 3 p.m. And I'm going to try to continue doing the Saturday shows a little bit earlier. So please come on back. Thanks for joining us. Areolas are fun. I think we should free the nipple myself. I'm a big free the nipple proponent. But I'm also a world-class prevert, so grain of salt. Okay, I think I'm going to have to leave the arms and the chest as they are for now. Ow, damn it. Focus on the hand, and I think we'll probably spend the last half hour, 20 minutes on just getting these hands to be a little bit more cohesive, and I think we'll probably call it done. Because I don't want this to be hyper rendered. I like that kind of rough, chunky feel to it, which kind of feels like my older work in a way. Hands are tough. I don't care who the painter is. I don't care how long they've been painting. There's always some aspect to it that's just a pain in the ass. My problem with hands in particular is getting them to feel feminine and changing the shapes, because I have, my piggy hooves. They're not very they're not very dainty or delicate, and they're big blocky things. So you'll find in a lot of my paintings when you can tell when I'm using my own hand for reference, because it tends to be chonky. I think I've gone too bright here, so I'm going to actually just darken all of this hand or arm. Just soften out those strokes a little bit. Lemon Marmalade asks, where do you find the inspiration and how can you hone your creativity? That's a really good question. For me, inspiration comes from just about everywhere. What I tend to do when it comes to inspiration is I'm just a vacuum. My method for creativity and problem solving is to hoover up information, sources, knowledge, experiences, and then just bukkake shotgun blast them at something. And then whatever sticks, you're going to end up with something a little bit original. The key, I think, that a lot of people tend to struggle with when it comes to good reference and inspiration for being creative is they tend to go to stale sources. They tend to go to obvious sources. So if you're looking to come up with an original idea for, let's say you've been tasked with illustrating like a wizard. Let's just stick with just a wizard by itself, because that alone is such a laden term, and it automatically brings to mind very specific visuals. The difference between a person that you would assume is creative and a person that's not is that the creative person is going to go outside of the expected in order to solve that. That's basically it. That's the core of it, is try to come up with the least expected solution to this thing in a clever way. And that cleverness is what people will view as creativity. So hopefully that answers your question. If you have more specifics, I can definitely get into it deeper. Took them out of the nipple drawer. Reminds you of the older stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got that. It's, you know what it is? It's that damn piercing. 100%. Because I made it rock and roll. The first painting of mine I saw was the naked women wading through mossy water. Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Yeah. Do you know what inspired that one? Speaking of creativity and things like that, the only thing that inspired that entire painting of a naked woman walking through spiraling moss was I saw a photo of similar looking moss where somebody was rowing their boat and it created that little swirl of algae kind of substance on the surface. And I thought it was so beautiful looking at the light hitting that surface matte thing, hitting the reflectivity of the water itself, and then also having just a little bit of light pass through. It's like, that's amazing looking. I got to do something with that. So really all that was me doing a study of a photo. But this one is very much the same. This started with a photo, and it's not at all like the photo. Well, I mean, it's marginally like the photo, but not much. This joint that I have on the hands is awful, and the reason it's not working in the wrist is because the elbow's not working, because the arm's not working. So what we need to do, I think the solution here will be to change the angle of insertion of the arm itself. So let's make some big decisions again. The cool thing about really brushy, strokey painting is that when you warp it, it's not too badly artifacted. It definitely gets artifacted, and I'll go over it with some brush strokes, but it's not the worst. And because I've moved that back, that means that we're going to see way less of the scapula. Okay, so that's helping with the angle of the arm a little bit. Just a touch. It's not enough. Okay, I see the other thing I did is I did the same thing with the joint where I put the overlap there, but because this is actually kind of, these two shapes are parallel to each other, that joint where the skin is folding is actually kind of like this. It's not overlapping. It's like we're looking at it kind of more straight on. Okay, so that's going to help a bit. And this is going to be interesting because now, with this dark bodice that I've created for her, I now have to probably show background through, which is probably going to be good because I really wanted her to be freakishly skinny. Yeah, that's helping. That's significantly improved. We can erase this because I think the breast still needs to fall where it was. And then we'll grab my dark red up here and actually just kind of give her the cast shadow. Yeah. Turn that off. Yeah, you can see that there's a massive difference because that I had shortened the thing so much. Yeah, it's much, much better. Okay. All right. So now back to the mission at hand. We've got 10 minutes. Any update with the replacement for Patreon? I've been thinking about it, but I don't have any hard setting just yet. I think my plan is to have February be the first month where it's going to be sussed out. I am really strongly leaning towards doing basically a once per month Twitch crit and doing a potentially. I'm still not sold on the mentorship. That's probably the softest part that I figured out. So for sure, there will be a Twitch crit tier. I just need to. The issue is I just need to minimize my work outside of Twitch because I have the full-time job, I have my freelance, and then I have the Twitch. So I want to combine Twitch with Patreon. So everything that I'm going to be doing for Patreon needs to be doable also on Twitch. Like the product needs to be deliverable on Twitch. So I'm still open to ideas. If you've got anything to contribute, lean in on the Discord channel and let me know your thoughts. But yeah, it's still evolving and still totally open to input. Yeah, that's feeling much more correct. Silver Art Sam, thank you so much for the follow today. I'm glad you could join us. Let me switch brushes for a little bit. I have been leaning on the one for a long time now. So I'm doing kind of a scribbly pencil instead. This is kind of like a colored pencil effect. Very common when I'm doing acrylics. I'll do this also. I'll go brushes and then colored pencil on top. Yeah, the other thing that I was thinking about is if I can get the Patreon going full tilt again, I can start getting more equipment, more cameras and things like that. I might be able to do some traditional stuff like Carla does. I think that'd be pretty fun to get into. But yeah, it's all dependent on kind of how that all goes. Huh. I am surprised. Okay. All right, let's figure out these hands. We do not have much time. Twitch crit sounds great. Nice. Know what is one thing in Cyberpunk you did not expect? How perilous crossing the street would be. Yeah. I actually didn't think that they would hit you. I thought that they would stop because I managed to dodge them just on accident for so long. And then when they finally hit me, I was like, what? An ally ran you over just for saving their friend. I love it. Thanks, Dankly Tuned. Appreciate that. You ran yourself over with your own bike because you walked up to it. Oh my god. Uh, one of the things that I've done a lot lately with games, this one and Ghost of Tsushima in particular, is I don't run around as sort of like gamey as much because I don't want it to break the illusion, the spell. So I actually walk a lot unless I'm specifically running and it's in character. I've been weirdly just role playing the shit out of it. And as such, I'm fully expecting to start seeing signs pop up around the city warning about this creeping pervert that's just walking around and following people crouching and looking at their butts. The butt man cometh. Lovingly sculpted butts everywhere. Use your bike a lot. That's awesome. A good 20 hours in before you noticed there were fast travel points. Yeah, I figured the fast travel out pretty quick, but I don't use it because I want to get the feeling of running around in the world, and it is so immersive. They really made it immersive. Like, I am thoroughly impressed with that aspect of it. Even with the bugs, when I'm in there, I'm really there. It feels so cool. Like I said, it's the same feeling I had with Skyrim and with Fallout 4. Actually, also Fallout New Vegas, I think, was the one before that, where it was just like I was in it. In it. You try to walk like that, but you become impatient. You only use them once to get from the Badlands. I haven't been to the Badlands yet. You guys are way ahead of me. Slow down, damn it. You don't have the urge to fast travel because it's getting around is so fun. Yeah, it totally feels great. And I love that even though it's not like they're rewarding you with every single little alley has goodies in it, there's enough variety and feeling of being lived in that it's almost like real life where you don't feel the compulsion to go down every alley. You're just like, yeah, there's stuff down there, but I don't need that stuff. I don't need to go and look at every little thing. It's just feels so lived in. It's amazing. And I think they deserve a profound amount of credit for what they've done. I'm using the nails to kind of just find the placement And then I'm going to have to go in and clean up because my fingers are not quite figured out right. Yeah, for example, that thumb is definitely gimpy. It's almost looking like a dew claw. I feel like this empty space needs something in it. That's why I'm kind of laboring over the thumb right now. But maybe... Black nail polish, mega rock and roll. That's right. Thank you, Cypher. Pat Mast, thank you for the follow. I'm glad you could join us today. Oh, I didn't make it. I tried. Unfortunately, Night City calls. And I imagine it calls for some of you as well. I am so grateful that you guys joined me for a little bit. Took a little break just to hang out for a little part of the morning. Hope you got a coffee and learned a little something. I think I failed. We're gonna have to work on the hands. Either I'm just gonna finish it off on my own. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you actually want to watch me finish the hands, or just start on a new painting next session? I know that when I'm watching other people, I always like watching the first part. The rendering always kind of gets boring to me. But I don't know. What do you guys like to watch? What's her name, though? Gotta name her? I think that we don't care. You're here for the nasty stories because I'm filthy. Helga. Finish this one, then do next. Can wrap it up next time and then start new. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We'll do that, Cypher. Thank you. But Gray Voices is right. We always name our characters and creatures, so we got to come up with something. What should we name this sweet, sweet face? Or this one? I do know I'm gonna make notes for myself. I'm not sold on the reds of the cheeks just yet. There needs to be something else. I don't know. Either I need to introduce that down here, or I need to bring these values up there. That's a great arrow. I'm a professional artist. Need to finish the hands. Pretty good. Elsewhere is okay. And speculars on my piercing. And maybe something on the bat wings. I don't know. I kind of like the graphic shape. Okay, so notes for future Izzy. Forehead, mouth, 5 head, mirror face. No. trying to remember character names. I'm totally spacing on them right now. And my dog is digging, so that's distracting the shit out of me. How about Dacia? Mistress of the Spoopies. The opposite of cyberpunk. Cataract Caddy. Oh, she looks blind, but she sees you. She sees right into you. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining me today. It was fun. A good experiment to do it a little bit earlier. You know, I love it because I'm not like super tired, which is usually how this goes. So I'm going to be finishing and just getting the day started, which is fun. It's an interesting, different take on things. So yeah, glad you all could join. Hopefully you learned something and it was good stuff. We'll be meeting again on Monday, the normal time at 3 p.m. If you didn't catch it, I changed the Tuesday one. It's also now going to be Wednesday, 3 p.m. And then I'm going to continue doing a Saturday show around noon. So what time is it now? It's I think it's 11:21 now. So it'll be somewhere midday is usually how I'm going to do it. I'm going to aim for as early as possible so I can cater to you guys way out east. But yeah, that is that. So yeah, give a follow on the YouTube, the Twitters, all that good stuff. You've seen the signs down there, wherever it's at, this side, that side. And yeah, we'll see you on the Discord in the meantime. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy Night City. Until then, paint smart. Paint sexy.
I'm Izzy, a professional writer, concept artist, and illustrator. I've taught painting for a dozen years or so, on and offline. Many of your favorite illustrators and designers have studied with me or under me, and have gone on to teach in their own right. You're here because, like they did, you want to learn to paint realistically for illustration or concept art. Well, worry not. You're in the right place. Grab a seat. I want you to join me as I explain all the aspects of image making in extremely digestible and clear monthly lessons. Not through the lens of silly how to paint hair or eye demos. That shit is carnival tricks. And you're not really learning anything except an exact way to render one thing in one manner. This is painting mysticism at its worst. Watching these kinds of exploitative lessons won't help you level up with your understanding. Sure, now you can paint sparkly hair, but what if you want to paint a dragon, or figure out how to render a sea of fire, or depict a one-eyed transgender space marine dying in the vacuum of space? Painting and image making are tools of communication, and can be learned by anyone willing to put in some time. Like grammar is for language, light, color, and form literally follow a formula. Painting well is not a matter of chicken bones, zombie crackers, and the ever-dismissive concept of talent. Learning with my series, Izzy's Logic of Light and Color, will give you the tools and understanding so you can analyze light and form in reality and bring it to life in your work. Using this simple system I have distilled will help you harness your art to share your ideas as you've always intended. When we are children, we all draw in symbols. Symbols for our house, our hands, the sun, the grass, our pet lobster. As we grow into artists, we must learn to throw away symbols and begin to draw and paint what it is we actually see. And as we grow further, we learn to paint beyond what we see and what is actually there. Until finally we move beyond this and learn to trim away what is actually there so we voice only what we want. With me, you're going to have to buckle in and maybe take some pain meds, because I'm going to rip out your normal person's eyes and replace them with a painter's eyes. I'm going to restructure how you see and how you understand what you're seeing. I'm going to turn you into a painting machine. Truly, anyone can learn to paint realistically if they can both determine what they're seeing or imagining with basic and straightforward rules. Once you understand the mechanics of light, color, and form in reality, you will have the capacity to paint anything you can see or imagine realistically. After that, the real fun begins. Here are some of the ways you can join me and master the logic of light and color. The very first lesson of my series is totally free on my YouTube channel. In that lesson, I give you the 3 primary rules of light that are the very foundation of painting and understanding light itself. If you do nothing else to make your painting mastery easier, at least watch this amazing little lesson. It will do more for your basic understanding of light than just about any tutorial you can find. When you're ready to get deeper and you feel like you have those first rules figured out, allow me to utterly blow your mind with the next episodes available on Gumroad and ArtStation. As we go deeper into the rules underlying the logic of light and color, I carefully and simply explain important and interesting elements. From beginner to pro, there is an amazing amount of information available. Each concept has been distilled into the clearest explanation you're likely to find anywhere. Like episode 2, where we cover the atmospheric effect and how that relates to light, scale, and distance of objects in reality, and how to render it. Or episode 3, where I hand over the ultimate key to controlling value in your paintings. Episodes 5 through 8 are all about rendering materials. Want to understand the logic behind rendering metal, leather, hair, transparency, damn near anything. I even cover the logic behind painting special effects like fire, neon, or lightsabers in later episodes. The lessons just get deeper and more detailed as I build on the foundations covered in preceding episodes. The 10th gives you the most important rule of composition you'll ever learn to keep your images interesting. The next few episodes cover important painting techniques like my edge control ninjutsu or simplification with the large to small system. We dip a toe in color theory, devote a few episodes to finishing full-blown illustrations utilizing the techniques we've learned so far. Some episodes, like the lighting game or Advanced Exercises 1, the shirt, present cheap, valuable, and practical exercises to give you explosive growth in your development. Episodes 22 through 25 cover painting and illustration, just like I do for Magic the Gathering, from assignment and inception to signing the painting at the end. Each one is full of tips, knowledge, everything to make working as an illustrator easier. Did you enjoy learning how to paint basic materials? Metal, wood, and such? I got 3 whole episodes devoted to the intricate logic behind painting different kinds of skin. After that, more lessons devoted to pumping life into your portraits and original methods for accurately drawing faces out of your head. From fundamentals to photo bashing, Gumroad and ArtStation have every lesson I create available for purchase a la carte. But here's an even better way to learn with me. Stay current with my latest lessons on Patreon for the lowest price available. Monthly support gets my student that month's lesson, a critique or paint over of their finished work, a discount code for 25% off the entire Gumroad archive, and access to the Logic of Light and Color Discord community, where we plan future lessons, share knowledge, and learn together as a team. The absolute best method is to join my Patreon classroom at the Student Plus tier, where you'll get everything I just mentioned and a free episode from the archive every month to accelerate your mastery at your own pace. You've decided to take control of your painting and master Izzy's logic of light and color. Now it's up to you to choose the path that's best for you. I'll see you on the flip side. Paint smart, paint sexy.